Cade Cunningham, you did a big thing today. 40 points in a Bedlam game. Only two people in Oklahoma State history have ever done that. You and Juwan Evans, both of you guys actually did it as freshmen. I mean, let us know. I mean, what was going through your mind today? How were you feeling? What was, kind of take us through it a little bit.
I still went into the game with the same intention, play to win, play for my team. And, my team trusted me throughout the game to, take shots. And with that confidence, I'm only confident to make them. So, yeah, I kept shooting. And I didn't know I ended up with 40 until the end. So, it was cool to see that, for sure.
Avery, obviously, all season it's been team and depth and all that kind of stuff, but today really stood out. 40 points is hard to do in a game. Are you sitting next to a Wooden Award type guy, a Naismith Award type guy? And have you ever seen? Say that again.
I said for sure that, just big time players make big time plays, and Cade a big time player. So that's my dog, and I'm happy to see that he did that for us and came through in the clutch for us.
What was some of the talk and some of those late game timeouts? What was going through as far as the planning and everything?
Just get stops and try to get on the run. And offense is going to take care of itself. And that's what we did. We executed on the defensive end, got stops, played solid, and we went down and executed.
And Cade, this may be your only trip to Norman. Was there any kind of education process for you about what Bedlam means to Oklahoma State people?
Yeah, definitely. They've been talking about it, pretty much the whole season, from the beginning of the season, how big Bedlam was for us. We watched the video before the game. I knew how much it meant, and I tried to carry that, into the game, carry that mentality, like I'm playing for more than myself. So I think we all did that, and that's why we played with such grit today. And we came out with a win.
All right, members of the media, if you have a question for Oklahoma State's Avery Anderson or Cade Cunningham, please click raise hand and we'll try and get to everybody. Please just address your question to who you want to have answer it, though. Our first question comes from Jacob Unruh from the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Jacob.
Yeah, Cade, there's lots of places we could start here, but I want to start with the battle you had with Elijah Harkless. Talk about what he did defensively against you and the fun you were having in that battle, because there are a couple times that looked like you were really enjoying that one-on-one with him. Yeah,
definitely. He's a really good defender. And they put the matchup on me and really trusting him. And a lot of times they kind of let us play one-on-one. So, anytime I can get, one-on-ones and things like that, I'm gonna have fun. He's a competitor, I'm a competitor. So, we're going at each other for sure.
And knowing now that you've faced him in 48 hours, what do you take from that? How do you learn from that going at him 48 hours from now again?
I have to watch the film again, but like I said, he's going to compete, and I appreciate that. So, that only elevates my game and makes me want to compete harder too. So, watching the film, I gave up a little. I had too many times where I was a little bit nonchalant with the basketball. I let him, get his hand on the ball and things like that. But yeah, other than that, just staying aggressive and playing my game.
And down the stretch in regulation, especially, I think you had 10 of the last 13. Did you kind of just flip a switch and get more aggressive? What was going through? What was your kind of plan of attack there?
Yeah, I knew that they didn't want, me being aggressive, especially after I had made a couple. So, just trying to play to that and keep applying pressure. And with that, I drew a lot of attention, and guys around me were making shots. 1K, Avery, Rondell, everybody was confident and stepping in to make plays. So anytime I could draw attention to get them the ball, that's going to help us for sure.
And Avery, I got to ask about Caleb late. He had moments today where he wasn't necessarily his best, but he had the big rebound and the big free throws in overtime. How big is that for Caleb to come through knowing that he's such a guy that relies so much on his confidence?
He just stayed tuned into the game. And just knowing what he had to do for us to win that ball game, and he knew he had to rebound for us to get an extra possession. And that's what he did for us, and that was big time. That was like the biggest play of the game.
For sure. That and those free throws that he made, easily the biggest plays of the game.
And Avery, you've been in this game before. How much fun was today, though, when you've got this back and forth?
It was much fun than last year at this time. But yeah, I would say It was a good game to play because it was back and forth, and the competitiveness was just at an all-time high, and that's the games I feed for.
Awesome. Thanks, fellas.
So,
Yeah.
Our next question comes from Barry Trammell from the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Barry.
Still on mute.
Yeah, Barry, you there?
There we go. Hey, Cade, it wasn't the typical Bedlam game because of the COVID capacities and whatnot, but did this game feel different than when you played Tech or Texas or Kansas or some of these other great games you played in recent weeks?
I mean, I wouldn't say that the arena was different, but just the way that, you know, we carried ourselves, you know, we knew how much the game meant, like I said, for us and for school. So, you know, we came in with the chip on our shoulder, wanting to win for our team and for our school, and we did that.
And Avery, how about you? How did you feel like this game was different from others that you played, considering in 48 hours we're going to turn around and do the same thing only in Stillwater?
I would say from last year's game, it was a lot louder, and since it wasn't a lot of fans in seats, it really was different, like the noise level. But other than that, we just came to play, and we got to rest up for the game at our crib and protect home court.
Our next question comes from Marshall Scott from Pistols Firing. Go ahead, Marshall.
Yeah, Cade, you mentioned Bryce earlier. I think he was 2 for 10 in his last 10 3-point attempts. It feels like he just needed that one to go in. Kind of what did you see from Bryce today?
Confidence. He stepped into his shots and let them fly like, you know, we're used to seeing him do. And, you know, anytime, like, we have so many weapons on this team that I feel like, you know, maybe don't get as much credit as they deserve. And, you know, when those guys are firing, you know, it only makes our team more tough to beat. I think that's one of the biggest things about us is that, you know, we have a lot of different options on offense, you know, in transition and things like that. So it's a lot harder to game plan for us. So, you know, having Bryce come in and make, you know, 4 big threes for us was huge.
Also on the defensive end, there's a lot of weapons we have that could go out 1 through 4. And Bryce made he was making big time plays on the defensive end on reads. Since I wasn't guarding him, I was guarding Devion. That's the thing about us, we all just switch up.
And I was kind of going to mention that it seems like at the end of the game, they were trying to get MA switched on everybody, kind of trying to get him switched on guards. What did you think of the way he attacked that kind of challenge? He won some, he lost some, but for a freshman to go against, you know, guys like Reeves and really accept that challenge, it kind of shows a lot from him.
It's only a learning experience for him. And knowing MA, he's so competitive, he wants those type of challenges. And he took it head on. Like, he didn't try to disguise himself from it. He didn't try to, you know, point fingers at other guys or anything. You know, he took it head on, and that's why we appreciate him. Like I said, everybody's so competitive, and he just wants to get better. He knows that, you know, win or lose, it's a time to get better. And you know, he made a couple big plays for us. So, you know, I shout out him for just steady competing and making big plays.
Appreciate it, guys.
Our next question comes from Frank Bonner from the Tulsa World. Go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, I want to stay on Moncrief. Avery, when you look at the stat sheet, Moncrief may get lost in the shuffle, but he had 12 rebounds. How important is that, knowing you have a player who can finish the defensive possession and get those 12 rebounds for you guys?
Yeah, that's big time because without we can't run if we won't rebound the ball. So, I mean, on the offensive end too, he was on the glass, and that was big time getting us extra possessions. And so, even though that goes undisguised, it really doesn't on our team.
And then Cade, you know, on Friday you talked about, you know, wanting to put your mark on Bedlam and, you know, playing under the bright lights. How important was it for you not only to get your 40 points, but to know you were able to do that and get the win for OSU?
I think getting the win was how I wanted to put my print on Bedlam. You know, having trust in my coaches and my teammates allowed me to get 40, but you know, I think we all played to win, and that's what I'm most happy about. And those are the things that we're going to take and try to translate to the next game. You know, who knows? 40 points will happen again. Who knows? But, you know, I know we all played to win. Like you said, it may have 12 rebounds. It's huge for us. You know, just having everybody contribute to a big win like this, those are things we're all going to take away from it.
And then after an overtime game, you got to get back up and do it again. how do you rest your body in this short span?
Get your sleep, you know, cold tubs, eating well. You know, there's a lot of different things, hydrating. But, you know, just mentally preparing yourself as much as you can, especially because, you know, we just put a big physical toll on ourselves. So making sure that we're mentally ready, knowing personnel, watching film, things like that. You know, those are the best things you can do in a close back-to-back game.
I appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
Our next question comes from Dean Rule from the O'Colly. Go ahead, Dean.
Hey, Cade, on Monday when we talked to Coach Boynton after the Tech win, he talked about the competitive stamina that he preaches, you know, playing harder for longer when it comes to these overtime games. How big do you think that was today?
Very big. And we've been in this situation plenty of times. And that's all we was talking about in the overtime huddle. Just keep going. We know we got to be the best team for the 5 minutes that we had, and we was. We executed on offense. We got stops on the defensive end.
And then Avery, you know, this is yet another solid game for you this season. You know, how does it feel to have a bunch of these under your belt? And, you know, what's it feel like to just kind of leave your mark on this Bedlam game?
Yeah, I'm just playing basketball and just playing free and doing whatever my team needs me to do. Like I said, like I always say, just if that needs to get stops on the defensive end, I'm gonna do that. If that's taking some of the scoring off of Cade, I'm gonna do that. Just whatever we need to do to get the dub for my team, that's what I'm gonna do.
Hey, thank you guys.
Yes, sir.
Oh, excuse me, I muted myself. Our next question is from Jacob Unruh from the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Jacob.
Avery, I got to ask, what kind of coach was Ice today? Because he was pretty involved over there on the sidelines.
He's a big time. I would say he's Coach B part 2. He's just always talking to everybody and telling us the right things though. Like me, he was telling me I was over dribbling sometimes to get to my pull up because I don't use it that much. And that was big time talk for me. I say, and just telling us how to guard the ball screens that they were doing on us and just being a big time leader. And we needed that.
Do you guys expect him back on Monday?
The only time to tell. Right now, we just need to get rest up, see if he gets better, and then we move from there.
And
We want him healthy more than anything.
Yeah.
Cade, how do you feel like you played defensively? You've had some foul troubles lately, but today you didn't get in foul trouble. You had the big steal there late in overtime. How do you feel? And the block too? I forgot about that block. Made some big plays. How do you feel like you played defensively?
I think I was all right. No, I think there were some plays that I could have made to help my team a little bit better, but no, I think just as a group, I think we were pretty sound. I think we had some troubles at times, allowed them to make runs, but we adjusted pretty much every time and had fixes and turned things around. So I'm happy individually and as a team. I think we were good.
Awesome. Thanks, fellas.
Yes, sir.
Our next question comes from Marshall Scott from Pistols Firing. Go ahead, Marshall.
Yeah, Cade, halftime seems like it's a really long time ago, but it seems like you guys could have gone one way or the other at halftime. You're kind of struggling there offensively. What was kind of the message at half and kind of who gave that message?
I mean, we really didn't get into anything that we wanted offensively first half. I think, Coach said we were over dribbling a lot. I think that started with me. I did a lot of ISO work that, I should have got the ball moving. But, once we got the ball moving, and started to get into our plays and execute, I think the game started to open up a lot more for us. And, it made us make shots, and they kind of got out of transition. I mean, they weren't really in transition too much, but transition threes and things like that, we were able to put 5 in front of them and make them, really score. So I think that helped us out a lot. And, getting transition steals and starting with early, easy buckets, that helped get us going.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, and our final question is going to come from Danielle Dwyer from Fox 25. Go ahead, Danielle.
Cade, I wanted to ask you, yesterday you had talked about loving to play road games so much because of that atmosphere. I know this is not like a normal year with as many people, but were you feeding off that a lot today in this matchup?
Yeah, definitely. I had my grandparents got to come to the game today. First game they got to make, and my aunt and my cousin. So, I mean, any game I can go out there and compete with my guys. We're going to take it personal and try to make the most of it. But, like I said, the Bedlam game is huge for us. And I think everybody just kind of came in with an extra pride.
And Avery, circling back really quick on Bryce, I feel like his athleticism is just not as recognized maybe as it should be when you're an outsider. I guess you both can answer this because you're both reacting to it. But I mean, does he just like impress you every day? Are we not even seeing all of it? Is this kind of like the tip of the iceberg, what we see in these 40 minutes during these games?
You have no clue. you have no clue. Like, dude could jump out the gym, and
On a sleepy day, he can jump out the gym.
he don't even stretch, and he could just jump. Like, and that's just crazy for him to do. And so, yeah, a lot of his athleticism go unrecognized.
And lastly, real quick, do you feel this was one of your more, I know Ice isn't in, obviously out today, but as a team, do you feel this was more top to bottom, a very complete performance by you guys? I know you still have room to grow and you always want better, but do you feel this was one of those games that was more of one of your complete performance as a team unit?
I say for sure, because we had came together. We didn't really get down on ourselves like we usually do during the halftime. We had talked up at the halftime, say what we needed to do, what was giving us problems. We came together and we executed that coming out of halftime.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Congrats.
Thank you.
You guys are talking about Bryce, man. He jumps angry too. He doesn't just jump; he jumps angry.
He did.
Yeah.
So that'll do it for questions. But before we let you go, is there anything that's important to you that you feel like should absolutely be noted here while we've got the group together?
Cade is a beast. He's like that.
You ain't have to add that.
All right. Congratulations, fellas. Have a safe trip home.
He's like that.
I mean, where do you start? I mean, I don't even know what to say. Congratulations on the win. I mean, maybe just your thoughts on what happened out there.
You start with Cade Cunningham, and then you open it up for questions.
Well, that's kind of what we did on the player section. So maybe your input on Cade.
I gave him a chance yesterday, but if he's on today, I'll let him ask the first one, Carson Cunningham. If he's not, then we'll go to whoever you got next.
Carson's not with us, unfortunately, but would love to hear your take on Cade's performance today and what it meant for the team.
Obviously, there's a lot been made about his performance this year, and I think people will know he's a really good player. I think I said it maybe 2 weeks ago. You'd appreciate what you're watching. It's special, and I've watched it for now 5 years. I've seen this for a long time, and I'm not surprised that on the biggest game on our schedule, on the road, he stepped up and was ready to go compete at the highest level. And obviously played against a really good team. It was a hell of a game. I've only been around here for 3, 5, 7, 8 games in this series. Well, 10, I guess, because I was an assistant. Juwan Evans' performance in Stillwater, my year as an assistant coach, was pretty damn good. I think he scored like the last 20 points in the game. But I think you have to dig pretty deep to find one better than this one today.
You know, you mentioned Juwan's performance. Cade today and Juwan that day, that's the only 2 Cowboys to ever drop 40 on the Sooners ever.
Yeah, and he's 19 years old, by the way, in case anybody needs a reminder why he's special. And you know, again, I get it. You want to see him do that every night. He does what his team needs for us to win. And sometimes that means getting 40, which he's certainly capable of. I'm sure our fans would have loved to see more 40-point performances. But there's a reason that Matthew Alexander-Moncrief was able to get double-digit rebounds, and Bryce Williams was able to hit big shots, and Avery Anderson developed the confidence that he has because he's allowed those guys to continue to grow through this season. And it's a credit to him, his ability to understand what's needed and to be able to go out and do it.
Is it time for the Wooden Award voters and the Naismith voters and all them to start taking a good look at Cade? And why would he be, if so, why would he be worthy of that?
I mean, I would imagine there's a few people watching the game, even outside of the state of Oklahoma. I'm sure everybody in the state was watching it. But there's no question in my mind, he's the best player in the country. And there's no question in my mind, you know, there's a lot of really good players out there. Whoever has the #1 pick, they can overthink this. This one's not that hard. This one's not that hard.
All right, members of the media, if you have a question for Oklahoma State head coach Mike Boynton, please click raise hand and we'll try and get to everybody. Our first question is going to come from Jacob Unruh from the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Jacob.
Mike, I want to start with Cade and Elijah Harkless's battle. They didn't start Elijah today, and he came off the bench and tried to wreak havoc on Cade. But what did you see? How did you see Cade react, and what did you think of that matchup?
Well, Harkless is a hell of a player, not just offensively. He made some big shots for him too, but he's relentless. And what I see from him when I watch film is a guy who understands that he's got the biggest assignment, and that means that guy's going to get some baskets, but he doesn't back down. And that's credit to him, obviously to his coaches, instilling that confidence to just stay at it. And I'm sure, got to turn around and do this thing again, that he'll be ready for, a couple opportunities to show what he's capable of doing.
How did Cade kind of respond to that, though? It seemed like Cade really kind of thrived on that matchup, on that one-on-one battle that he hadn't had a lot of that necessarily at times this season.
Well, I don't know if he didn't have it as much as he was really aggressive, continuing to attack. He played through some contact, and he didn't get frustrated today, knowing that the game was going to be pretty physical. So I thought he handled it like a fifth-year senior, and certainly would do anything back to get him back as a second-year sophomore. But he's going to be on to bigger and better things, and he's going to be doing that against some of the best defenders in the whole world in about 7 or 8 months or so.
And what are the challenges of turning around in 48 hours now that you're here now? You talked about it a little bit yesterday. You're not sure what to expect, but now that you've had an overtime game and you've got to figure out how to recover tomorrow and then turn around and do this again.
Well, I think we can play better as a team. I don't think we played our best game. We turned it over a lot. We didn't really get a KB established as well as we wanted to. And, I thought our guys just played as hard as they could for 45 minutes and gave ourselves a chance. But there's a lot of room to grow still for this team in terms of execution.
And what's the status on Ice? I know you said he had a hand injury. I assume that's what held him out. And what do you think about Monday with him?
I don't know. I think he's just going to keep getting treatment today when we get back, tomorrow as much as possible. And, if he can go, if the trainer says he's ready to go, if the kid feels like he can go out there and give us everything that he's capable of, then he'll play. If not, again, my job is to help these guys maximize not only what they can do here. That kid's got a future in basketball too, and I don't want to do anything to hinder his growth from a physical standpoint of what he's going to be able to do moving forward. So we'll see. Hopefully I'll have more information tomorrow, but right now we'll just call it day to day.
And Avery said that Ice was Mike Boynton 2.0 on the bench there. He was just as much coaching. What did you see from Ice on the bench as a coach?
Yeah, it's what you need. It's I need him on the court, right? But I need him on the court for the long haul. And that's why we're not going to press him right now. We're thinking bigger than just today. As big as today was, we see something in our future that, if he's available, can really, really help us. And so, no question, he was the vocal leader. I was coaching, but he was the biggest cheerleader we had today.
Thanks, Mike.
Our next question comes from Barry Trammell from the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Barry.
Yeah, Mike, the nature of this game, the thrill of everything we saw today, how does that play into knowing the same two teams go at it Monday night, just 48 hours from now? Is this a case of strategy changes completely? Is it a case of you try to let everybody celebrate today and get at it tomorrow? How do you approach a situation this unique?
I think the natural tendency is to think that the team that lost today would want to make more adjustments. But, it's a pretty close game throughout. So I think there may be some slight adjustments on both sides. Lon Kruger's a Hall of Famer, and he's going to have his team prepared to play as well and as hard as they did today on Monday. And my job is to make sure that we learn something and not take for granted that just because we won today that we can't play the same way Monday and expect it. Right now, can we expect that Cade's capable of getting 40? Yeah, but we can't turn it over 20 times. And we can't, Caleb will start the game well, but again, we got to get more out of that spot. And those are some areas I'm going to watch film and try to figure out how to address it.
I know you're in the middle of coaching a game and you got a million things on your mind. Were you able to just enjoy the game, how fun it was? This wasn't 57-52, both teams shooting 36% from the field. Both of you shot right at 49%. Everybody making shots. An historic performance by Cade. Some clutch plays by OU. You got some of your role players make huge plays down the stretch. What can you just enjoy this game and sort of see how much fun it was?
I always enjoy it, Barry. Like, I love this. I absolutely love what I get to do for a living. I could not imagine doing anything else than being on that court at 2:00 this afternoon Central Time in this building with these kids. And I'm appreciative of the fact that I get to do something that I really love for a living. So every time we go out, I mean, the losses are hard, no question about it. It's stressful. This is a high pressure business. I get that. But I do this for the kids, and I do it because I love the game and the opportunity to be with them and help them grow. So absolutely, I loved every moment out there.
Our next question comes from Marshall Scott from Pistols Firing. Go ahead, Marshall.
Yeah, Mike, it seems like every time OU kind of had a big play and the crowd started getting into it, Cade would shoot a three or something almost instantly to try and silence that. Was that something that you guys talked about, or is that just him being him?
Well, we talked about it. I mean, we always talk about understanding the moment and what's necessary for our team. And to start the game, you saw we made a conscientious effort to try to go inside. That's what we thought we needed to do, and we got a good result. I think the first play, we didn't get a good result, a couple more. And when the game got going, he understood that he needed to understand the moment and be more aggressive. Bryce's 2 threes were huge to kind of keep us there and continue to take pressure off Cade. And the play of the game might have been Caleb getting the offensive rebound late and preserving the possession for us and really giving us a chance to salt it away at the free throw line. So no question he understands it, but it's something we've talked about all year. And obviously late game, we're going to give him the ball and give him an opportunity to do what great players do. Let's take it home.
In the second half especially, they were just trying to get a post switched on to Reeves so that he could go to the hole. Is that something that you're comfortable with happening, or is that an adjustment that you're going to try and make going into Monday?
Yeah, man, it's one of Lon Kruger's greatest strengths is understanding how to find matchups that are favorable for his team. And we tried our best to work on that all week. He made some tough shots too now. Got to give the kid credit. It's not always that you play bad defense. I think Reeves, Manick made it a big three for them. Harmon made a big three. Harkless made a huge three. And, Cade made some huge shots for us. And so sometimes you just got to look out there and appreciate the talent on the floor. They got the switch that they liked, and he made some big plays. He's a really good player. That's the reason why he's probably all Big 12 guy.
They had some success against your zone early. You went back to it in overtime. How were you nervous about that decision to go back to it to kind of try and stop those switches, or kind of give me your mindset switching back to the zone?
Well, they got in such a comfortable rhythm finding that matchup that they liked, and that protected us a little bit more in terms of when they were driving, because they weren't necessarily driving to help and kick it. They were driving to score. So having second, third bodies in there kind of forces them to make those plays through a second defender, whereas when we're in man, we're pretty much on an island in those situations. And so the time we were, up 2 or so, we wanted to not give up a 3 and we're comfortable with them, maybe then making a tough 2. But when we got up multiple possessions, we thought we could avoid trying to use our length, not giving 3-point shots.
And then we talk about growth, being experienced in overtimes and stuff like that. You guys went 23 for 26 from the foul line. At the beginning of the year, that just wasn't happening. Kind of what do you see? What do you attribute that to?
Our guys getting better. It's part of the process of our season is from November 25th. What are the things that we can improve on? November 28th, December 1st, December 29th, January 15th, and we get to February 27th, and on our original schedule, it's supposed to be last game. You want to be shooting free throws at a pretty high rate. Now you don't want to turn it over that much. So there's still areas to improve on, and I'm glad we have some talent to keep getting better and working together as a team.
Appreciate it, Mike.
Our next question comes from Frank Bonner from the Tulsa World. Go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, Mike, along that line, I was going to ask you, I know this is only my second season covering you, but it seems like your teams compete their best around this time of the year. Not every team can do that. What is it about your teams that are able to do that?
The credit goes to my staff and the kids for buying in to what we preach from day one. And obviously this year was a little bit different in terms of the time we were able to spend with them in the summertime. But we try to set a great tone for when you arrive, you're this. If you do it right, if you follow the blueprint, then by the end of the season, you'll be a different player. By the next season, you'll be even better if you continue to believe in what we do. And, starts with our strength conditioning program. Jake Manzelman is terrific in terms of helping these guys be able to sustain themselves through the season. My wife and her nutrition recommendations, not that they always follow them, but she does a good job of making sure that, again, you got to be available. You got to be able to physically do it. But then there's part of it, watching film, learning from mistakes, understanding, Matthew Alexander Moncrief, for example, is a much better free throw shooter now than he was at the beginning of the season. And it's just part of our plan. It's the thing we preach in recruiting, improvement, development, and our team playing best at the end of the year. And I think, we haven't always had great records, but we've almost always played better at the end of the season than maybe at the beginning, and that's part of the process for us.
And then Caleb, you mentioned he didn't get involved as much as you wanted to early on. Earlier in the year, that may have caused him to necessarily check out or so on. But in this game, he didn't shoot free throws all game, and he has to go and shoot the most important free throws of the game. What does that say about his growth, his mental growth?
Well, first, it's a big moment for him in a big game, in a game that for Oklahoma kids, a really, really big deal. And I'm sure in the back of his mind, he wanted to step up and do this for his team, for our university, and for his state. And, it's not lost on him that, he's at Oklahoma State, and it was the only option he had to go to in the state. And so he didn't get frustrated. He stayed in the moment. And I thought he made huge plays, those free throws, but that offensive rebound, that chasing down that loose ball, because it could have been a run out for him. And next thing you know, you're looking at a tie game. And so he stayed focused, stayed in the moment, and continues to help our team get better.
Appreciate you, Mike.
All right, our final question is going to come from Danielle Dwyer from Fox 25. Go ahead, Danielle.
Yeah, Mike, yesterday, Cade had talked to us about leaving his mark on Bedlam. Of course, you guys have the Monday matchup that he can add to his resume in this rivalry game. But do you feel for sure he left his mark on this? And what would you remember most about his performance today, with that being said?
There's so much I can say about that kid because I know him so well personally. This has been a long journey with the two of us. And, it's unfortunate in some respects that more people haven't been able to see this in person, right? It's kind of to Barry's question maybe last week or 2 weeks ago. But he's as special of a kid as I've been around in my time coaching basketball. And I've played with and coached some really good players. In my opinion, his legacy is stamped in our history a long time ago, but certainly from a fan's perspective, from a media perspective, maybe from an NBA scouting perspective, this is one that I'm sure will continue to stick out in their minds. Is, every big play that we needed him to make, he made today, and certainly proud. Disappointed in a little regard that Monday will be his last game in Gallagher. Right? We're not hiding away from that. We're going to honor him. We're going to show him the love that he deserves, and we hope as many people come out to thank him for choosing this school, because he could have done literally anything that he wanted to do. He could have closed his eyes and pointed to any book in the college directory, and if they didn't have a scholarship, they would have offered him to go to their university. And he could be making money playing basketball right now, but he's doing this because he's got a tremendous amount of loyalty, pride, and he's a tremendous teammate. And I think that's what separates him from a lot of other really good players and makes him really, really one of the greatest.
And I asked both Cade and Avery this. I want to ask you this as well. Bryce Williams' athleticism, just the plays he makes, the fire that he can bring at any point in the game. I feel like sometimes that gets lost in all of this with these games. What do you appreciate about him the most, or how impressed are you with that athleticism that you get to see every day? We only get to see it a couple times a week.
Yeah, it's truly just astounding, the level of just quick twitch fibers that he's been blessed with. Yeah, I wish some days, and I'm going to try somehow at the end of the season to take some of them and give them to Bernie. And because he'll still have plenty, but it's phenomenal. The things he can do athletically. I mean, he's like I'd say this about Russell Westbrook, and I know I'm reaching here, right? The level of athleticism he displays makes you think that the other people on the court aren't athletic. Like, it's the thing that always impressed me about Russ when he was with the Thunder. Like, he's out there with the best athletes in the world, and he stands out athletically. And that's what Bryce does. Like, we have some really good athletes on our team. And sometimes he makes those guys look like they're just average athletes because he's been blessed and he's a high-level competitor.
Thanks, Mike. Congrats.
All right, that'll do it for questions. But Coach, before we let you go, is there anything important that you feel like you want to make sure that we cover while we've got the group together?
No, I got to get out of Norman, get back to Stillwater. See you guys Monday.
I hear you. Safe travels home. Congratulations again on the win. Members of the media, thank you as well. We always appreciate you.